What is going on, Arizona sports fan family? We are here today to have our second episode of our NFC West roundtable, and we finally got a 49ers guy. I'm absolutely super excited about this episode, guys. Thank you so very much for showing up. I hope we have some Rams fans, 49er fans, and Seahawks fans in the house because we're here to talk NFC West. Let's go ahead and bring up my guests here. We got new guy here, CG in the house. We got Sheriff Joe Bags, and then we got Steezy A. Smith. What's going on, guys? How are we doing, fellas?
Man, what's up, y'all?
Doing good.
No complaints. It's a beautiful day.
It is a beautiful day. It is a beautiful day. Perfect, guys. Thank you so very much for tuning in here. Second episode. Extremely excited. We do have a new member here, CG, Ruthless Sports, is going to be covering our 49ers. Let's hear a little bit about CG here, man. Talk to us, man. Tell us who you are. Are you on YouTube? How can everybody find you?
Oh, yeah. I've been doing YouTube for at least over a year. I mean, I've actually was a part of this. I don't want to say it, but I was part of this trash talk controversial for like a year. So if you guys want to find my channel, look for CG Ruthless Sports. Instagram, find me on CG Ruthless, and then Twitter, CG Ruthless. If you guys have somehow find me on Facebook, that's why the initials are CG for a reason, because that's actually my initials. But yeah.
Cool. That's absolutely fair, man.
I'm a diehard Niners fan. Been through Candlestick Park. Been through Levi Stadium multiple times. So, every now and then I go there. Met Roger Craig. Met a lot of good Niner players.
Nice, man. Cool. Well, thank you so very much for being here, man. I'm hoping that this is going to be turning into something beautiful, especially comes regular season. We're going to have these weekly more than anything. So I'm super stoked to basically take this on and welcome in, guys. So because we have CG here, the newest guy, we had some questions for 49ers that we weren't able to cover last week. So let's go ahead and jump into it, guys. It's an open forum. Joe, Steezy, anybody wants to answer any questions?
Who? Okay, for the Niners, huh? Let's see. Who you guys taking at number 3?
Number 3. It's a good call, to be honest. I know the smoke screens are saying Mac Jones. He is a system fit. He is a system fit. I wouldn't be that upset about the pick like most of my fan base. I mean, they seem upset. They want Justin Fields. I prefer Trey Lance. Trey Lance is a system fit. He'll learn the offense quickly. So I prefer Trey Lance over those two quarterbacks. I mean, he'll excel. Just like what you said on that last video episode, that's the guy that would worry you the most is Trey Lance. I would want him.
Hey, let me ask you, so let me just take it back just before the whole thing. What was your initial reaction when you guys traded up? Now, did you think that this was going to happen for the 49ers? Because I've been talking to my subs for quite some time that I felt like the 49ers were going to get a quarterback during the season this year. I thought that Jimmy Garoppolo that the whole saga might be over. Did you know that this was going to happen, or was this a surprise to you?
It was a surprise to me because I thought when it came down to the offseason that when Shanahan and Lynch said, oh, Jimmy's our guy going forward, I buy into their word, but it just came out of nowhere, I was just minding my own business. I left my phone for a little bit, and then I just went shopping for a little bit because I didn't want to be bothered. And then once I saw the news about it, I'm like, we did what? And I thought for a second maybe we'd go for that tackle from Oregon, but then somebody told me there's no way you're giving up multiple draft picks for that. You're going to get a quarterback. And I'm like thinking, I wonder who.
Yeah, exactly, man. It would be crazy to me if you guys got Penei Sewell. That would be
I like that guy.
I do too, but I don't think I've ever seen somebody trade up in recent history, and I mean recent, that somebody jumped up and if it wasn't a quarterback. Can you guys think of anybody that this has happened?
No, but it just wouldn't even make sense for the Niners to draft a guy like Penei Sewell. You guys just signed Trent Williams to a 6-year, $138 million extension. And let's not forget, right tackle Mike McGlinchey was actually drafted 10th overall just a couple of years ago. You guys have 2 solid bookends at the tackle positions. That'd be a waste of a draft spot.
That's fair.
I absolutely agree.
I think Mike McGlinchey's suspect.
I think the Mac Jones and Justin Fields, I think it's all smoke screens. I right away, once the trade happened, Trey Lance just popped into my head. And part of the reason that I think that is the comments from Lynch and Shanahan coming out and saying like, hey, we don't want to move on from Garoppolo. He gives us the best chance to win going into the season. And that made total sense if Trey Lance is the guy. If it's Justin Fields, you start Justin Fields. If it's Trey Lance, you start Garoppolo and make sure you know what you have in Trey Lance, because he played one game last year. It was good, but it wasn't amazing. And so I think he's a guy you do want to have just sitting there for a little bit. So yeah, that's my pick as well. I think that he's the guy, and I hope it's Mac Jones because we're rivals.
I agree. Hey, let me ask you this real quick. I'm going to ask this to my fellow other people here. Who do you not want them to pick? And then CG, I have a question for you, but let me answer this first. Who do you not want the 49ers to pick? Like, who do you think would be the worst or like the scariest quarterback to go against? Let's start off with Steezy, and then we'll go to Joe.
And we're talking about the Niners picking at number 3?
Mm-hmm.
Who we want them to pick or we don't want them to pick?
Who we don't want them to pick.
Oh, I don't want them to pick Trey Lance because I'm with Joe. I think that after Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence, Trey Lance has the most potential out of all those other quarterbacks. And I think that with some of the comments that John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan made in the week prior, they were talking about how, we're still planning on keeping Jimmy G. And we might see a situation similar to Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes in which they sit a guy like Trey Lance for a year, and then after a year, they could either trade Jimmy G or let him walk as a free agent and then recoup a compensatory pick. Because right now, I just don't think teams are willing to give up a first-round pick. I think that's kind of the price right now for Jimmy G. I think the only team that'd be interested in trading for him would be the Patriots, but they hold the 15th overall pick in the draft. And so to trade the 15th overall pick for Jimmy G, I don't think I'll do that.
Yeah.
So as a Seahawks guy, I would hate for the Niners to draft a guy like Trey Lance, who I'm super, super high on. I'm not going to say he's the next Pat Mahomes or anything, but give him a year to develop and then put him in a system like Kyle Shanahan's. I think he could be nasty. I mean, his last full season at North Dakota State, 28 touchdowns, 0 INTs, over 1,100 rushing yards. He's super efficient. He's athletic. He could rush. He's a great leader. He might be raw, and he might be a little inconsistent in terms of threading the needle of passing the football. But I mean, give him a year to learn. Give him a year to sit back and learn from Jimmy G. Man, I think he could really explode. So I really hope the Niners don't take Trey Lance, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do.
Dang. What about you, Joe? Man, what you got?
Man, I'll be honest. I'm really just holding out hope that the Jags and the Jets both don't screw this up for us, and they actually go Lawrence, Wilson 1 and 2, because that to me would be the worst possible situation. Is if one of those guys, I'm sure if Lawrence is still on the board at 2, he's not going to fall at 3. But if one of those teams screws it up, then that would be unfortunate for us. But I'll be honest, if you look at all the teams that need a quarterback, I mean, you got the Jags, the Jets, the 49ers look like they're going quarterback. Teams like the Broncos, probably the Panthers. If you look at all of the teams that are looking at quarterback in this draft class, I feel like we're forgetting that the 49ers are a good team, and they're not like they're far away. And last year, you take away those injuries, they're probably a playoff team. I think I think some people are forgetting that their record is not necessarily indicative of how good that team actually is right now. So I almost don't think it matters who they take. I think that whoever the 49ers take, specifically that team, I think that they're going to have at least the strongest first 4 years out of any of those top 5 quarterbacks that people are talking about, whether that is Mac Jones, whether that's Trey Lance, whether it's Fields. I just feel like the 49ers are the most ready to win today. And those other teams that I mentioned are full of dysfunction right now. So I almost don't think it matters, but I really don't want to see Trey Lance there. And I don't think he'd play a lot year one either way, but I think that give him a few years, especially under Shanahan, who's an awesome coach, then I think he would do really well there.
Fair, man. That's absolutely fair. Wow. Yeah, that's honestly, I would definitely have to agree with you. I mean, especially if, we're holding hope that the Jaguars and the Jets do what they need to do. Let me ask you this, CG. Who would you pick up? So let's say, for example, the Jets mess it up for everybody. It's the Jets, so they might. What happens if they do go Penusul or they go somebody else like Jamar Chase, and you do have the option with all the quarterbacks, obviously not Trevor Lawrence? Who do you want then?
who would I want then? I mean, it's pretty obvious that Zach Wilson would be a great fit. I mean, why would you pass on a guy who can actually excel in this offense? I mean, he's already pro ready. You can easily just trade Jimmy G right now and just play Zach Wilson right away. So I'll take Zach Wilson instantly.
Cool, man. Perfect. Yeah, definitely obvious answer there, man. I hope not, man. Honestly, Joe, you got me all worried now. I hope that this doesn't happen as far as them messing it up, but we'll see what happens. Hey, man, let us know what your biggest acquisitions were in terms of free agency. You know your team a lot better than we do. What are some under the radar stuff that happened in free agency that we don't know and that you're excited about?
Well, a guy that came to mind was Zach Kerr, very underrated. He's a good signing. Like, he's actually a good, decent run stopper, solid edge. I mean, he's not quite an edge rusher. He can rush the passer a little bit. He's very good. But the one that comes to mind that's very underrated is Samson Ebukam, who comes from the Rams. Mm-hmm. He might be a really good edge rusher if we use him a lot. For less than 40% of the snaps, he did register 4.5 sacks from the Rams, which they are very stacked on defense. I think he would be really good on our defense. I mean, I think that's why we didn't go bring back Kerry Hyder back. I think that's why we went with Ebukam, because he's more younger and faster and a little cheaper than Hyder, you know. That's probably why Seattle took him. They always take our little leftovers.
Watching Samson Ebukam play over the course of his career with the Rams, I've always liked Samson Ebukam, and his motor is very high, and that's one thing I always like, especially in a pass rusher. But he just got more athletic as the years have gone on. He's just gotten more physical. I would say the thing that he needs to work on, and it's kind of, you know, he is a good player, but the thing that he could improve is his use of hand. And I think if he keeps on working on that, he's going to be a very strong pass rusher for you guys. But yeah, he was a rotational guy for the Rams, so it wasn't as big of a hit for us as it was a gain for you guys, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I just think he's one of those underrated guys. I think I'm just more excited to see what he could do. I mean, I think he might be a big impact. Somebody won't talk about him. It might be like maybe a little bit of a Shaq Barrett type signing. I'm not saying it could be, you know, wait and see situation.
Wow. Okay. Well, we'll definitely see there. I mean, the 49ers are definitely a good team. Good team, whatever you want to call them. Honestly, they are in a win now more than we're. I don't know, man. What's your thoughts on Jimmy G? Like, that's my question for you. Unless anybody has any other questions, they want to. I feel like I'm asking all the questions. I want to know what you think about Jimmy G.
My only question on Jimmy G specifically to kind of piggyback and push that one along is, I don't feel like asking for a 1 is that much. And I think people are overvaluing 1 still. And maybe this is the Rams fan in me talking this and saying that, you know, first round picks aren't that valuable, but we're doing fine without them. So I think other people do value them pretty high. So I don't think that ask was too high. Do you think that like saying a 1 for Jimmy G is crazy?
Well, if you need a franchise quarterback, I know there's a lot of desperate teams that would give up a first round for this guy because he did lead the Niners to the Super Bowl. That's the upside about Jimmy G, if healthy. But I don't think he's worth a first round personally, maybe a third round. I mean, why are you going to give up a value for a guy who got injured and can't even stay consistent? I mean, I would honestly give a third round and take it, because why would you give it? Why would any other team want to give up a first round pick on a guy who can't stay healthy? I mean, it's kind of, it's ludicrous, you know? It's like, I don't know, man.
Exactly, Joe. And when you look at when the Niners acquired him from the Patriots, it was for a second-round pick, and that was before they signed him to that contract. That was before he eventually guided that team to the Super Bowl. You look back in the years since then, as CG said, he's been unable to stay healthy. Even when he is on the field, I mean, we already know that he can't quite lead a team to winning a Super Bowl. Maybe he could take you there, but he's not going to be the guy to win it. And so, to me, a first-round pick, while they are overvalued, I agree with you on that statement. He's just not worth a first-round pick at this stage in the career.
Okay, so I'll ask everybody this then. You take the top 5 quarterbacks in this class. So you got Lawrence, Wilson, Fields, Lance, and Jones. Where would you, in that group, where would you rank Garoppolo? If Garoppolo is just thrown in, he's the 6th name in that, where do you rank him in there?
What would I rank Garoppolo between? Or are you talking to Steezy?
Like, that's for all of
everybody.
Where would you put Jimmy G in that ranking of those 5 guys? If he was the 6th out into that group, what's that look like? Where's he at?
It's tough to say. I don't know. I mean, I would,
because I'll be honest, if you don't put him number 6, then you're saying that he's worth a first round pick, because all those guys are 1s.
That's true.
Man,
That's
I
true.
think so. Lawrence is going to be 1. Zach Wilson will stay 2. 3 in my book will be Trey Lance. 4 Justin Fields. 5 Jimmy G. 6 Mac Jones.
So you're saying he is technically worth a 1 because that's where these guys will be taken, you know?
I mean, see, okay, I guess by that logic, yes. But Mac Jones is going to be a top 10 pick, but I don't think I'd give him a first-round grade. I think if I have to grade him, he's graded towards late, bottom of the first round, early second round. But because of the need for quarterbacks, or because quarterback is such a premium position, they're going to go that early. And so I guess it depends on how you word the question. But by that logic, yes, he is with the first round.
And always be wary of a guy who goes from a second, third round grade to a top 10 grade after games have been played. Always be wary of those guys.
Oh, yeah, cool. Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
That's true. Honestly, I think it could come down to maybe the Patriots asking, but I doubt they'll go for a first-round pick. They probably will get it back for a second or something like that. But we'll see, man. Honestly, we'll see. I actually have one question for you, CG. And it has to do with, obviously this whole Deshaun Watson thing has took a turn for a crazy loop. The rumors and speculations that he might be going to the 49ers, did you hold on hope to that in terms of Deshaun Watson going to your team? Or what was the chatter over there where you're from?
Well, it's just been throwing rumors. I was okay with the idea, but I just had a feeling it just seemed like false in a way, because if that was the case, we would have made the move already. We could have just released Jimmy G and just acquired Deshaun Watson, because if you cut Jimmy G, you're already cutting in $25 million in cap space already, and you can cut him right now.
I mean, but why do that when you can recoup value?
Yeah, but at this point, his contract's voidable. You can cut Jimmy G and go get Watson right now. I mean, that's what I would have believed it differently. If we would have just acquired Deshaun Watson, I would have been okay with the idea if they would have just cut Jimmy G, because you're already going to pay Deshaun Watson a lot more money. Why are you going to keep so many expensive quarterbacks on the same roster? It's just makes no sense, man. What is this, NBA money?
I get what you're saying, bro, but you look at the fact that you guys gave up 2 future first-round picks and a third-round pick to move up to number 3. You guys are bereft of assets for the next couple of seasons. You release a guy when you could have gotten a second or third-round pick, even a late first-round pick. That just, I think, to me, that'd be a delusional move to make as a GM.
Well, there was no teams that were going to give up that kind of draft pick. I mean, the Patriots came to mind, but they weren't going to give up a first or second. I don't think they would. I mean, holding on to Jimmy G would have been wise. I get what you're saying. But if you're going to acquire Deshaun Watson, why keep the other quarterback? Doesn't make sense. Free up cap space.
But how can you acquire Deshaun Watson when the cupboard is bare for the next couple of years? You want to be able to accumulate as many assets so that you can even acquire or even have a chance at acquiring a guy like Deshaun Watson. Now that the cupboard is bare, I already questioned whether they had the assets to get a deal done. Now that the cupboard is bare for the next couple of seasons, there's no way they have the assets to make it work. I mean, even if you were to get a 4th-round pick, a 5th-round pick for Jimmy G, that's better than just releasing him and not getting anything.
Well,
you feel me?
Yeah. If you can get a draft capital, but which team is willing to do that? I mean, we're asking too much. Yeah, maybe New England will give up a late round, but I don't think anybody. I mean, Patriots might give up a third, but I'm just thinking outside the box to where if you're going to acquire Deshaun Watson for that kind of money, then you got to think Jimmy G's stuck here. He probably wants to get traded. We got to look for some trade suitors and see if they want him or not. We'll see. But I think the only one that comes to mind are the Patriots, and it's got to be a desperate team that wants a quarterback, and maybe they'd be willing to give up a lot. I kind of agree with what you're saying, Steezy A. Smith. I think you got a good valid point. Maybe I wasn't thinking like the way you were thinking. Get something in return, even if it's a late round.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I also think you kind of damage the value of Jimmy Garoppolo by moving up to number 3 when everybody knows you're going to take a quarterback. Oh, yeah. So you're telling the rest of the world, like, hey, there's this guy that took us to a Super Bowl. Yeah, we don't believe in him anymore. We're going to move on. So who wants him? That's a hard sell.
Yeah, I do agree with you, Joe. I mean, it's kind of hard to sell like for Jimmy G. I mean, if everybody knows you're going to get a quarterback, and it's kind of like you're just lying to the media and say, hey, that's our guy. If you want him, take him.
We've heard that before, man. Honestly, Josh Rosen was our quarterback at that time. And then what happens? Kyler Murray comes up and we ended up getting Kyler Murray, which at that point I was like shocked that it happened. But honestly, now looking at hindsight, like I'm actually happy. Obviously, we're in Kyler Murray jersey and I'm happy what happened. But let's move on to the draft here real quick. And let's talk a little bit about the draft. Let me just ask a real quick question to Joe here real quick. Are you sad that there's no first round picks forever for the Rams? Or like, how do you feel about that, man?
All right, man. So I'll say this. So I spent a lot of years with a top 5 pick. All right. So and that was stressful. We did it almost every year. We were top 5. We were way up there taking quarterbacks, take tackles that would just hold every single play. So, as weird as it is to go into every draft, Jared Goff is literally our most recent first round draft pick. Since the Rams moved back to LA, we've had one first round draft pick, and that's Goff. So, I kind of just take it as like, let's just relax and just kick back and watch the draft. Let's see where these kids are headed, and I just kind of relax now. But no, it is a little bit weird, but I'll take this over picking in the top 3 every year.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right. Well, the other people that have first round picks is going to be me and CG. So in terms of like what I would like in the draft, yeah, we picked 16th overall. What I would want the Cardinals to do now, there's a lot of different speculations and people want to get running back. Najee Harris, Travis. Yeah, exactly. Travis Etienne. I'm the one that always says it's too early to get a running back. We can get it in the second, we can get into the third. Or if what we can do is we can try to maybe recoup a third if we did decide to trade back. Maybe somebody does end up falling a quarterback and, Chicago Bears want to get somebody and we can maybe trade with them. Then maybe giving it Javonte Williams or Najee Harris, something like that would be maybe more acceptable. But we have a pick on, I think it's 49th, which is our second, and then we don't pick again to 160. So there's a lot of room right there for a lot of teams that can be helping this Arizona Cardinal team. So if we stay at 16, I would still want the Arizona Cardinals to go cornerback personally, maybe getting a JC Horn, but his value went up. Obviously now that Caleb Farley is, going through his whole back injury or got surgery with his back. So I don't know. I want to get DB personally, but do you guys have any thoughts in like what the Cardinals should do?
I'm with you 100%, bro. I mean, you guys just lost Patrick Peterson, and I understand he was on the decline, but I'm not sure Malcolm Butler is really an upgrade. I think that's more of a lateral move. And aside from Malcolm Butler, I just don't see any impact corners in the secondary for you guys. So because running back would be too early at pick number 16 in the first round, unless you guys were to move back, I don't see you guys taking a running back. You don't need a receiver. Obviously, you don't need a quarterback. Offensive line has been addressed. Defense has been addressed. So I would I wouldn't like you guys to go corner, but if I was running the Arizona Cardinals, I would definitely try to draft the best cornerback available.
Okay, perfect. I'm not the only one. Okay, what do you guys think? I know like you guys don't really know a lot of the Cardinals and stuff like that, but would you rather go that route as well, or like if you were trying to build a team?
Well, for the Cardinals, I think cornerback is the biggest need for you guys. I mean, I
agree.
Because JC Horn's value is hitting off. I mean, I don't know if you guys should take a flyer on Caleb Farley. I mean, he's going to slide. I think he would be great for you guys. Maybe he'd probably be okay and probably contribute right away for you guys, and maybe the surgery won't be a big deal. I think that would be the guy I would go for because sometimes those draft values of those players who slide, they turn out to be good.
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair. What about you, Joe?
Yeah, secondary, that was the Cardinals' weak spot last year was defending the pass, and they've been addressing that in free agency. Talk about Malcolm Butler, bringing in guys like Sean Williams. So not like superstars or anything like that, but some good depth guys that can contribute. And I think that's where they kind of keep focusing their attention is that secondary. Offense is awesome. I mean, D-Hop and Green catching the ball from Murray. I mean, there's not a whole lot of like weaknesses, I guess, on any of our teams. There's not like any of our teams have like this one spot where you're like they have to address this, otherwise they're gonna be trash. Like it just doesn't really right now. So that's kind of cool. But
yeah, no, there's one thing that I also want to mention, and I want to ask Steezy A. Smith here. We actually have a scheduled interview with Quentin Dunbar next week, possibly signing him here to the Arizona Cardinals. I want to hear your take on him. I know you guys only had him for a year, but what are your thoughts on Quentin Dunbar?
Oh, man, I hope that doesn't happen because there are still talks of him reuniting with the Seahawks. I think that there's still unfinished business with him and the Seahawks, seeing as how he only played like 5-6 games, and then in the last game that he played against the Buffalo Bills, he probably shouldn't have been playing in that game. He was severely injured, and he had to get surgery shortly after. And so, in the short time that he was in Seattle, I wasn't impressed at all. I mean, I think that combined with the fact that there wasn't really any training camp, there were those allegations against him with armed robbery. So yeah, they had so much going on going into the season, playing for a new team, having to learn a new playbook. I just think that the situation was terrible. I mean, given all the circumstances, he just wasn't able to kind of fit in. But his last year in Washington, I mean, look, I don't know how much stock you guys put into Pro Football Focus, but they have some sort of credibility, whether it's a lot, whether it's not a lot. I mean, they have a little bit. And so they did rank Quentin Dunbar as the second best corner in all of football his final season in Washington. He is a ball hawk. He's super inconsistent, though, when it comes to being able to stay on the field. He's very injury prone, but I think he's best suited as a nickel corner. He's excellent. He has great instincts. You could put him as a return man. He's versatile in that aspect. But I think he provides lots of value. I think that he could be a steal if you guys were to bring him in on a one-year deal, on a one-year prove-it type of deal. I think that'd be a loss for us, seeing as how we still have a need at corner. And so I would love for us to bring him back. But if we don't, I mean, our loss will be your guys' game.
Yeah, no, thank you, man. Appreciate that. I like I said, I don't really watch a lot of Seahawks other than when we play each other, and I honestly do feel like that's some good games. We always split it. We beat you there, you beat us here. It's super freaking weird. But anybody else have any questions? I don't want to take over the show. Go ahead.
I had a question for my guy CG. What happens if you guys take Mac Jones? How would you would you be content with that? Would you be satisfied? Would you be enraged? Would you be ecstatic?
Great question.
I wouldn't be as upset like the other Niner fan base. I mean, it's about fitting the offense. I mean, and the way he ran the 40, it's not that slow. It's kind of like as fast as Aaron Rodgers. I mean, people don't realize that he's a little bit faster than Aaron Rodgers, and he should be able to catch on the playbook also with the natural pocket presence. I mean, he should be able to read the defense. I don't get the point of why my fan base will be upset about it if we don't pick Justin Fields. I just don't understand. I'm being realistic. I mean, I'm okay with Mac Jones. He's going to be a perfect safe pick, in my opinion.
Even if his ceiling isn't necessarily that high, because when you look at what he had in Alabama, he had arguably the best offensive line of football, best coach in football, best receiving duo in football, best running back in college football, one of the best defenses in college football. He had the perfect situation around him. And I know San Fran is somewhat comparable in that they could provide him with an elite head coach, an elite ground game, elite offensive line, still a top 10 defense, but not nearly to the point where Alabama was in terms of how they were stacked up against their peers. And so are you worried at all about his ceiling, about how he's able to deliver in the long run?
As far as me worrying about him, I mean, I just look at the way how Shanahan envisions him. The only thing I worry about is if he's going to become another CJ Beathard. That's my only worry. But I think as far as his upside and ceiling is, if he can excel with this talent that we got, I'm good with it. He did good with a good talent with Alabama. Our receiving core is pretty talented. The running game is good. The offensive line's solid. I mean, this guy should be able to excel. Yeah, our defense may be top 10, but it should be good enough for him to be provided by this supporting cast. I mean, it's all about winning. And this guy, if he can just learn for Jimmy G for at least a year, this guy might be good. So I'm good with it. I mean, I'm not going to be like, oh, why did we pick him? Why did we pick him? Why did we pick him? I wouldn't be like that. I'd be like, okay with it. I mean, I got a feeling that when I see that pick, you're going to see a lot of these mad Niner fan reaction. I'm probably just going to be like, okay, it's cool.
I'm going to be happy. I'm going to let you know right now.
I'm just saying, I'm not going to be like those guys that's going
to flip tables.
Nah, I'm not going to be that kind of guy.
And then what's the call? So this is a question for everyone. Sorry to hog up all the time, but this is probably the last question on my end.
You're good.
I'm not sure if we did this last week, and if we did, I don't remember, so I'm gonna ask again. If you guys have to rank, all bias aside, I'm gonna try. I hope you guys do the same. But all bias aside, if you guys have to rank as of right now, rank the NFC West teams from 1 through 4.
Oh, that's good. Oh, that's so good. We didn't do this last week. We did quarterbacks, but that was an obvious one. That's good. Who's going first?
I'll go first since I asked. Because I answered this the other day. So look, I want to preface my comments by saying that I'm not married to my statements. There's a whole lot of offseason to go. There's still the draft. There's post June 1st cuts and all that. So with all that being said, my number 14 right now. All right, and then actually one more thing I want to preface. So
that's the Rams. That's the Rams.
I want to think. I want to say, or I'm gonna predict that all 4 teams will finish at or above 500. And I think that all 4 teams actually have a realistic shot of making the playoffs. At the very minimum, I think 3 of the 4 are an automatic lock for the playoffs. And so with that being said, my number 14, the LA Rams. Number 3, San Francisco 49ers. Number 2, AZ Cardinals. And then no bias at all. You can believe me or not. You can call BS or not. Number 1, as of right now. And once again, I'm not married to my statements. Seattle Seahawks are number 1.
All right, I'll jump in on this one since you put my boys last. So I'm very much with you on that. Of my opinions are very fluid, especially in the time that we're at right now. It's early April. There's still a lot to happen. We're still pre-draft, where there's still free agents that are going to come in and people that are going to be cut that are surprises, anything like that. But
injuries.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but I'll say that to kind of address your ranking of number 4 here is that the Rams went 10-6 last year, won a road playoff game with Jared Goff, who was a blatant weak spot in this Rams offense, was a turnover machine, just had a lot of trouble with that, and they addressed that. They addressed that position. So how much better do the Rams get with the move from Goff to Stafford? I have no idea yet, but I'm really excited to see how that happens. But right now, I would say that even though the Rams did not win the division, they got the furthest last year. So I would kind of take that into consideration here, especially coaching staff-wise and everything. I think that the Rams coaching staff is really strong. If I'm going to go, I'll start at the bottom and go up. I'm actually going to put Arizona at 4. And I know this is like an Arizona channel, and I just pissed off a bunch of people probably, but I'm going to put them there. And the big reason is not roster-wise. It's actually coaching staff. I think the Cardinals have the weakest coaching staff in the NFC West. And I'm not a Vance Joseph guy. I'm not sold on Kingsbury. I like their roster. They're very talented, but the coaching staff give me a lot of concern. After that, I would put the 49ers, and a big part of that is because the questions at the quarterback position. And, of course, last year had a bunch of injuries. Is that something that's going to continue? Hard to really tell. That's not really why I'm putting them there, but I mean, until you start winning games, either way, when your starters go out, those backups need to perform, and that just didn't happen. So it showed that the lack of depth for the 49ers, in my opinion, last year. So we'll see how much that's addressed. And then number 2, I would put the Seattle Seahawks, and there's still some questions to me about that offensive line and protecting Russell Wilson. And I don't know if they did help him, but is this as much help as he wanted? I thought he wanted a little bit more than this. So, and I think he's got the pull to be able to draw more into that. And then I've kind of already talked about the Rams. I think that the Rams' biggest weak spot last year was quarterback, and they switched that position out with somebody who's got a lot of experience and I think is more talented as a guy than the guy that was here last year. So I'll put the Rams at that one spot.
I just want to address here. We have a Cardinal fan here that says he's got a point. So, honestly, with the whole bagging on the Cliff Kingsbury and coaching staff, you're absolutely right, man. That's one of the biggest scariness to the 2021 season for the Arizona Cardinals. I'm not sold on them either. So if you want to go CG, and then I'll go next.
Okay. Well, if we're going to the 4th spot, I mean, Arizona just seems like a team that just flashes early in the season, and I just have to put them at number 4 because of Kingsbury's offense. I mean, it's kind of questionable. And can Murray actually finish late in the season? Because when I saw them play early in the season, they were showing good flashes and promising, but I'm not convinced that they can even make the playoffs. I mean, don't get all oh, you're just hating. No, I'm just looking at the realistically. I mean, your defense has been a little suspect a little bit. Got to fix that offensive line. Yeah, you got Murray some good weapons. I'll give you guys that. I mean, but if I had to go to number 3, I got to criticize my team personally, man. I'm not buying into this team hype yet. We got to wait and see what happens. If we can stay healthy, then I can change my opinion. But at this point, I'm going to go number 3. I'm keeping it 100. I mean, we do got the best talent overall. It's just, can we stay healthy? Can we really stay healthy? because other than that, I don't have any doubts on my team whatsoever. But I got to put them at number 3 because it's being realistic. We do got the best defense, like top 10. Offensively, we look good on paper, but when you look good on paper, it doesn't mean nothing. So you got to deliver on the field. So number 2, this one's going to be tricky. I'm going to have to go with Seattle at number 2 because I really do think that it comes down to their defense and the Achilles heels. Like, if Seattle can keep Russell Wilson like the way he's been doing, like, what if Russell Wilson starts to decline a little bit and it starts to hurt them in the long haul? I really do think the Rams got everything completed. So the Rams got Stafford. It's an upgrade, but can he stay healthy? I do got the Rams being the number 1 team in the NFC West. Just stating facts. Great defense. Their receivers are really good. But Seattle, they got a really good receiving core too and a running game, so it can go either way.
Wow. Okay. These are definitely different answers for sure. Last year, I feel like Rams were the number 4 in everybody's talk, but definitely shut us up for sure, especially because you guys prevented us from going to the playoffs. But my list would be starting at number 4. I'm going to go 49ers just because the uncertainty of the quarterback situation. If it is going to be Trey Lance, I can see, Jimmy G not working out, 4 or 5 games in and they bring up Trey Lance or they bring somebody up just to kind of, rush things. Fans want it. That's what they want to see. And I can see that happen. I'm not going to lie to you. I think Cardinals will be number 3 because I'm not sold on Cliff Kingsbury 100%. And number 2 is going to be, it's kind of like a back and forth with me. I'm going to go Rams number 2 and Seahawks number 1. Now the Rams, why I put them over us is because 4 straight years in a row, we can't beat you. You guys are 8-0 against us, and that hurts more than you guys actually know. And if we cannot beat you, then why am I going to say we're going to be at number 2 or number 1? Like, we got to first take down, what's that David and Goliath. And that's the thing too. Like, to you, Jared Goff was like, oh my God, he was the weakest point. When he played against us, he looked like Tom Brady every dang time because we sucked. Our defense was not good. So every time we saw Jared Goff, we're like, my God, how come we can't stop him and blah, blah, blah. So it's like a whole different storyline when you play the Cardinals, and you guys always had our number. So I'll go Seahawks 1, Rams 2, Cardinals 3, and then 4 49ers just because of the whole quarterback situation.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I take it more. I take it more like a field. It's all good. I mean, it's cool. Yeah. I mean, I got to be brutally honest about my team, and I just think that the quarterback situation is the only problem, or else we'd be good.
Well, and that's the thing too with my putting Arizona at 4. That's not me saying that Arizona is a bad team by any means.
Right.
They're, in my opinion, the worst of this division specifically. You put them in almost any other division, and they're fighting for winning it. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, you put them in the NFC East, they're the clear champs. So, it's not a shot at the Arizona Cardinals. It's more of a kind of like bragging about our division here because it's really strong right now. So.
Completely agree.
Piggyback off of, sorry, bro. To piggyback off what you're saying, Joe. I mean, look, just because I have the Rams at number 4 doesn't mean that they're going to finish below 500. Doesn't mean that they're a weak team. It's just a testament to how great the division is. So great point. And real quick, I want to address something that you said, Joe. You talked about how that Seattle really, addressed the offensive line to where Russell Wilson is happy. To answer your question, no, but I'm really, really high on your guys' pass game coordinator, Shane Waldron. I think that he's actually our biggest free agent addition or our biggest outside addition. And not because he's going to play on the offensive line or anything like that. I'm not saying that. But what he's going to install in terms of the offensive game plan, he's going to design a lot more quick plays. He's going to design a lot more plays where Russ is getting rid of the ball within 3 to 4 seconds. He's going to design more plays that involve screens, more end arounds, more play action, more 12 personnel. And so I think that alone improves the offensive line because Russ is getting rid of the football quick. Because Russ, like I said in last week's episode, I think he deserves a lot of blame for all the sacks that he takes. And, sometimes he's holding onto the football for far too long. Because last season, the offensive line wasn't as bad as everyone is pointing out to be. First half of the season, our offensive line was actually top 10 in all of football. And so second half of the season, obviously, we all know what happened with our offense. It cratered and whatnot. But I think Shane Waldron alone is going to be able to enhance the offensive line. You add in a pass blocking guard like Gabe Jackson. He's a significant upgrade over Mikey Potty, who just couldn't even stay healthy to save his life. But I still would like us to address center, maybe bring in some competition for Ethan Posick. And then I still want to bring in a tackle of the future in the draft. So we still have some needs there, but I think Shane Waldron does a lot in and of himself.
I agree. I think that's an underrated addition for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good coach. We lost a lot of good coaches, man. This is a bad offseason for us coaching wise. It was Brandon Staley to the Chargers, Aubrey Pleasant, Joe Barry, Shane Waldron. We lose, in my opinion, some of our top coaches this year. As
Andy Dickerson, you guys' run game coordinator, Andy Dickerson.
Yeah, it's like just all over the place, man. It's been one of those, I guess. But I mean, it's one of those weird situations where like guys like Aubrey Pleasant, like as much as I loved having him on the Rams staff, like he deserves to be moving on and moving up. You know what I mean? So Joe Barry, now the defensive coordinator of the Green Bay Packers. I mean, Joe Barry's been an awesome coach. He's been the Rams linebacker coach since the return to LA, and I think he deserves that. So as much as it sucks to see these guys go, it's like I want to go see it. I want to see them succeed somewhere else too if that happens to be the case.
It's really just a testament of Sean McVay and the guys that he brings in. I mean, he's such a brilliant 100%. Mind. He knows what he's doing. He knows the guys that he's bringing in. I mean, if he's able to find diamonds in the rough like that, I have no doubt in my mind he'll do it again.
Yeah, well, and I mentioned Staley. I mean, he's obviously now the head coach of our roommates, the Chargers. But I think going from Staley, it was his 1 year as a defensive coordinator. He came from being an outside linebacker coach for the Broncos, so he was coaching Bradley Chubb and Von Miller. How much coaching do those guys really need? And then he comes in as our defensive coordinator. And then we replace him with Raheem Morris. So I don't hate that at all. And Rams were first against yards, first against points last year. And I want to say that the defensive coordinator spot got better. So I don't know. Roster-wise, we did lose a lot. I mean, John Johnson's a big hit, Michael Brockers, Troy Hill. But I think the coaching, as far as the defensive coordinator, I think we improved there. So we'll see what happens as far as the defense goes. But I'm excited for the Rams defense.
Cool. All right, y'all. Well, that's how we're going to end it here today. We're going to definitely try to do this more in a regular. It might be spaced out just because off season and all that different stuff is going to happen. But definitely when the season comes through, we'll definitely be doing this weekly. Super excited to do this. Last minute thoughts before we go ahead and shut this round table down.
Go Hawks.
Cool. That's fair. Had to do it. All right. Joel, anything?
Thank you for the opportunity, man. I mean, you reached out to me and you came in, it was a blessing, I look forward to doing this on a weekly basis, I just didn't know what direction I was going to go to, I was like thinking, man, I got no direction. Now I got direction because of you guys. So
good,
I look forward to it, We'll create a brotherhood over here,
We definitely will, man. We'll definitely will. This season might get a little heated, but it comes with football season.
Without a doubt.
All right, man.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so
nice
much.
What?
Definitely. All right, y'all.
Take care, y'all.
All right, bye.
All right, bro.